Well, sit-in is the whole approach of a sit-in was to directly defy the law and defy custom. And the custom in the white South had been that black people didn't eat with white people and didn't eat in restaurant establishments in the same counter, the same lunch counter. In most places, they would not have had a law prohibiting eating at lunch counters. And it was mostly a matter of custom. There was a very powerful sort of custom that existed in the South against white people and black people eating particularly together. You know, most students coming in now remember he doesn't go back before Bill Clinton, and certainly I guess it doesn't go back to 1960. Incredibly important era. In fact, I'd sort of rank it with the American Revolution and the American Civil War in terms of its significance as a period in American history, and it needs to be, we're just now beginning to sort of understand it, I think, and get the perspective that's necessary. In the case of Greensboro, in the case of other cities around the South, it's black students at historically black institutions that spearhead the movement. The black students were going after targeting national chain stores because they realized that a place like Woolworth's that was nationally organized would be susceptible to public opinion on a national level. So you have organizations like CORE, for example, that's around since the 1940s. And then after the sit-ins, organizations like the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC. These are both organizations that actively promote the use of nonviolent direct action strategies. The difference after 1960, February 1960, at the Woolworth sit-ins in Greensboro was the sustained nature of the movement. And really the key thing, I think, was the fact that the white media paid so much attention to the development, and it got so much national attention in television and newspapers. So it's a distinct kind of break that takes place and culminates really over the next 5 years with a series of things that lead to federal intervention in the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Birmingham in April of 1963, and the images that come across the television there are quite startling and quite shocking, I think, to middle-class white America. So television has a real important effect in transforming and changing things in the early 1960s. There continue to be basic structural differences, inequalities that exist today and come out of 300 years of slavery and another 100 years of Jim Crow. Following 1965, I think it became kind of politically unacceptable to be overtly racist, but race is still there. It's something we can't really sweep under the rug. Very often, civil rights protest was life-threatening. However, in Greensboro it wasn't. And that's one of the interesting things about a place like Greensboro. It's a place that had always considered itself very civil, and it had been a place where white people always believed they got along with black people. This is why it becomes so much more shocking. But certainly places in the Deep South, in the rural South generally, and Mississippi, for example, is sort of exists in a state of terror, largely 30 or 40 years before the Voting Rights Act, 65. And it's there particularly where you see dramatic acts of courage, where young African-American and white civil rights workers go in and are risking their lives, literally, and a number of them do lose their lives as a result of their courage.